Heinrich Kaan, Russian, February 8, 1816 – May 24, 1893, was a 19th-century physician known for his seminal contributions to early sexology. Different sources identify him as Ruthenian, an ethnic group living in what is now Belarus and Ukraine, or as Russian. He was the personal physician to the Tsar. Psychopathia Sexualis, not to be confused with book of the same name by Richard von Krafft-Ebing, 1886, that is considered more influential. Kaan is primarily known for an early scientific approach to sexology, i.e., a scientifically based theoretical study of sex as opposed to earlier fields of erotology, the more practical study of love-making. He published his main work Psychopathia Sexualis in 1846 in Leipzig in Latin. A direct translation of the title is Psychopathies of Sexuality. In this work he reinterpreted the Christian sexual sins as diseases of the mind. Until then, concepts like deviation, aberration, and perversion were interpreted in a theological context as false religious beliefs, a heresy. Kaan's novel idea was to turn them into medical concepts, to reinterpret them as mental diseases. Physicians and psychiatrists after him were quick to take up to these ideas, a process which, collectively, is referred to as the medicalization of sin in cultural history. It is also referred to as degeneracy theory. Kaan's work was within the onanism literature tradition of his time. To Kaan, masturbation was at the root of all sexual disorders, deviations and unnatural lusts, as it involved extravagant fantasies. He also considered heterosexual intercourse as psychopathological, if it comprised sexual fantasies. His main goal was to fight such sexual psychopathies. Above all, masturbation. Michel Foucault referred to Kaan's work in his mid-1970s lectures on the discourse of the nature of normality and abnormality. According to Foucault, Kaan's work was the first medical text exclusively devoted to the study of sexuality. However, Foucault recognized it as a symptom of a shift in the discourse on sexuality, rather than necessarily an influential work in itself. Scholars have acknowledged Kaan's contributions, relative to those of Richard von Krafft-Ebing and Sigmund Freud. Michel Foucault said during a course of lectures he did in 1974-75 at the Collège de France, that the Psychopathia Sexualis, 1844, was the first treatise of psychiatry to speak only of sexual pathology, but the last monograph to speak of sexuality solely in Latin. See also, Flesh, Theology, Religious Views on Masturbation. Sources: Ely, Evelyn, 2008. Unmoral Krankheit oder Phänomen. Homosexualitätskonzepte im wissenschaftlichen Sexualitätsdiskurs zwischen 1830 und 1915. Grimm Verlag. p. 24. ISBN 978-3-638-91622-6. Foucault, Michel, Valerio Marchetti, Antonella Salomoni, Arnold Ira Davidson, Graham Birchall, 2003. Abnormal Lectures at the Collège de France. 1974 1975. Verso. p. 374. ISBN 978-1-85984-539-4. CPP 233-234, which is not merely passing mention. Kaan's work is identified as the first text. Kaan is mentioned at some 15 other occasions in that book. Gutmann, Philip, 1998. Versicherung des Sexuellen im 19. Jahrhundert. Der begann eine Scientia Sexualis. Dargestellt anhand dreier Text von Hermann Joseph Lowenstein, Joseph Hausler und Heinrich Kaan. Peter Lang. ISBN 978-3-631-33686-1. Note: This is a 1998 doctoral thesis that provides a historical perspective of the work of three 19th-century authors on sexuality: Hermann Joseph Lowenstein, 1823, Joseph Hausler, 1826, and Heinrich Kaan, 1844. The thesis provides the first full translation of the works of Lowenstein and Kaan from Latin into German, a great service as Kaan's often quoted book is linguistically inaccessible to many. Text from Book Review in Hauser 2000. 143. Hauser, Renata. 2000. Book Reviews. Zur Reifizierung des Sexuellen im 19. Jahrhundert. Der Beginn eines Scientia Sexualis. Dargestellt anhand dreier Text von Hermann Joseph Lowenstein, Joseph Hausler und Heinrich Kaan. Medical History. 44. 1. 143. DOI. 10.1017, S002 57273000663321. Kaan, Heinrich. 1844. Psychopathia Sexualis. Voss. p. 124. Largia, Niklaus. Graham Harmon. 2007. In Praise of the Whip. A Cultural History of Arousal. Zone Books. p. 526. ISBN 9781890951658. Only snippet views. But Kaan's work appears to be discussed over pages 435 to 437, and there is a verbatim quote on p. 437. Liebbrand-Wetley, Anne-Marie. 1971. Medizin und Sexualwissenschaft. Bayerische Landesarztkammer. Bayerische Akademie für Arbeitsmedizin und Sozialmedizin. Kaan's work is discussed in this book. Liebbrand-Wetley, Anne-Marie. Werner Liebraum. 1972. Formen des Eros. Kultur und Geistesgeschichte der Liebe. K. Alba. ISBN 9783495472569. Money, John. Margaret Lamach. 1989. Vandalized Love Maps. Paraphilic Outcome of 7 Cases in Pediatric Sexology. Prometheus Books. ISBN 978-0879755133-3. Sigush, V. 2002. Richard von Krafft-Ebing. I. Krafft-Ebing, Zwischen Kaan und Freud. 2. Bericht über den Nachlass und Genogramm. Quote. Z. Sexualforsch. 15. 211 to 247 and 341 to 354. DOI. 10.1055 per seconds 2002 to 36,631. Ref 29 in this publication. Weber, Philippe. 2008. Der Triebsummerzahlen. Sexual Pathology und Homosexualität. 1852 to 1914. Transcript Verlag. p. 378. ISBN 978-3-8376-1019-2. CPP 51-52. p. 51. A Scholataju is quoted for questioning. The topic is masturbation, homosexuality, etc. If these sexual vices have other causes than plain spoiled moral, or if it is some sort of sexual psychopathy. A term in which he is indebted to Kaan. Own translation from German. In footnote 40, Kaan work was referred to analysis by Foucault in his Discourse analysis on abnormality. On p84, Kaan work is compared with Krafft-Ebing's Weiss. Volker. 5 November 2007. Eine weibliche Seele im männlichen Körper. Archäologie einer Metapher als Kritik der medizinischen Konstruktion der Transsexualität. Dr. Phil. Dissertation. FB Politik und Sozialwissenschaften. Freie Universität Berlin. Wetli, Anne-Marie. Werner Liebraum. 1959. Von der Psychopathia Sexualis zur Sexualwissenschaft. Stuttgart. Enke. Kaan's work is discussed in this book. Note: Anne-Marie Wetli later married Werner Liebraum. Both are medical historians, and she changed her name to Anne-Marie Liebrand Wetli.